you heroes, villains, and innocent bystanders. Welcome to another episode of the Jenny Lee Gentry Comic Book Club. I'm Alan the Unicorn, and with me today is...
Terry.
James.
Valiant.
Monica.
We will be reviewing our book of the week, which I believe was Dal's pick.
Book of the month.
Book of the month. Sorry, book of the month. And you want to tell about it?
Stardust Kid. It was by J.M. DeMatteis and
Plug.
Plug. What was Plug's first name?
I don't remember. I just called you
William?
Plug.
Yeah. He's like Madonna.
Yeah, that's
Like
Mike
Michael
Plug.
Plug.
Yeah.
It's like Madonna.
It was
Or Cher.
It was originally a 5-issue miniseries
Yeah, Mike
done by
Plug.
Boom, or Arachnia Studios. So.
So let's we're gonna do something a little bit different. I think normally we've done the questions and we've had the hoe bag and the monkey, and we're gonna forego that. We're gonna do a little bit of a script thing. I think maybe give a little bit more free form to things, so hopefully it'll flow a little bit differently. So we'll try it out and see what we think for our one viewer. And
There's more of us
next week
than
we'll
there
just
are.
call,
There's more of us than there are viewers.
it
next
the
week
same-
we'll just call you and we'll just hang at your
Is
house.
this the same viewer that we had? The one from Netherlands?
we have a Canadian.
Oh, we
No,
have Canadian.
I actually think it's probably my friend Julie. She watches all of our shows, and she always keeps
Well,
up
hey,
and tells
Jeff
me about it.
watches us too. So.
Does he?
Yeah. So
He's the one that told us about our problem last time.
Yeah,
our thing.
yeah.
So anyway, so let's start with let's give a general overview about the book. Do you want to talk about since it was your pick? Do you want to kind of give the overview about what you?
It's
He may be fired from this quickly.
yeah, maybe fired quickly.
It's kind of a book for all ages.
It is an all ages book about kind of growing up and kind of imaginary or the friends you have.
Yeah, it's kind of about your imagination and that
Yeah.
world as a kid. Imaginary
Reminded me a lot of like a Wizard of Oz, coming of age, like
I would say
story.
coming of age, but not Wizard
Right.
of Oz. Because Wizard
Yeah.
of Oz sucks.
Because that more fantasy. We are
I'm
not.
sorry,
Nice.
what?
We do not have that kind of time on the
That
show.
was not even just said.
I'm like, we ain't even gonna go there.
Although
sorry.
I can see how this book was kind of like Wizard of Oz because it kind of had two parts. Wizard of Oz has the black and white and then the color.
Well, and it
This
also
book
had.
two.
I felt like it had like the fantasy aspect of like all the different characters they meet along the way, along their journey.
Now I'm
they're
going to
kinda
have
trying
to go
get.
read this book while I'm listening to Dark Side of the Moon.
See if they sync up.
See if they sync up.
So there was a lot of, I think, fantasy elements to it.
Oh, yeah.
They start off with the kid having his friend and kind of leaving his other friends behind, but for the secret thing, get transported to another world, and then they have that adventure and fight the evil queen or the woman, and then she ended up being called something else. What was the other name she wanted?
She
to
wanted to
be
be called woman because that was demeaning.
Yeah, she was.
Because-
The Sovereign.
Yes, the Sovereign.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Yeah. So it was. So let's talk about the writing and the dialogue first. I think you have something, especially with the writing.
It was just one glitch, and it was the character, and it was the little sister. Throughout the entire dialogue, she's referred to as KM. KM, 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 KM. And then at the end, there's the synopsis, and it's KT. And so it was just like...
Oh, dun dun dun
So
dun.
Being a speech language nerd that I am, I was like, oh my god, you
NOCD.
had one job. One job to make sure it was...
Had one thing.
Yes, and so that was like nearly crushed my soul.
So in general, what did you think about the writing and the dialogue? Did you think it flowed very well? What was your? I mean, did you think it worked well for
Besides
the book?
the KMKT issue.
Yes.
Besides the spelling error.
For the most part, what kind of got a little over the top was the narrator character. I feel like it's I got the humor they were going for, but it just by the end it was a little.
You
over
don't
the
need to
top.
beat us over the head.
Yeah,
with it.
and the whole
Yes.
thing about the book, talking to you kind of thing.
I think the
And
thing that
times.
would have made it different.
Yes, I was saying the time. He kept beating us over the head about.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know what time is.
To the extreme that it felt like it was the running dad joke.
But I
Yeah.
think the hard part was because we read it in one big gobble instead of like delving it out in
Right.
5 issues.
Possibly.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's the thing is like we didn't wait months to read it. The
That
next
would-
issue we
that
read it
probably
all
would've-
together.
Probably would have
and-
been better.
And if somebody had
Yeah.
jumped in without reading in say 1 or 2 and jumped into 3 and it talks about the time, it's kind of reiterating
Yeah.
the basis of the story.
But I have to say, as a whole, as a book, that really irritated me to no end because I was just like, it was just like they were just beating you over the head.
I got it.
constantly.
Yeah, I got it.
You don't understand time. We don't care. Move on.
Mm-hmm.
What about you? Writing and dialogue? You think?
I didn't catch the KT.
I didn't either.
I think because I blew through all the issues pretty quickly reading them, the deal. So I thought it was good. I did get kind of tired of yes, I understand the whole thing. Yes, time doesn't matter. Time is different. Yes. I mean, I thought it's your typical boy or kids get put in the fantasy world, has to save the world kind of thing. I didn't think anything. I didn't think it broke the mold or anything, but I mean, it was a fun story.
It's called a metaphor.
What's a metaphor? What's a
Don't worry, we have an expert. we can help you with
Can I
that.
ask my question? I thought I was going to ask Alan.
All right, go ahead, James. What do you think about the writing and dialogue?
I liked it, other than what we've already talked about, and my problem was the physical font. It was physically hard for me to read.
Yes.
Look like
It was
these.
very
Yeah.
small
Okay.
and very crushed together, and with the font that they chose being so flowery, it you had to kind of squint to read it at times. Now I don't know if it's because I read it
Did you?
on my ebook, if I'd read it in a comic book form, if that would have
Stood out differently.
made it better, but it was physically hard for me to read at times.
Terry?
I thought at times I would get to a point where I was glossing over what the narrator was saying because he was seeming to get into the way of the story, and I would just I'd kind of gloss over what he said and just get to the speech bubbles, and
Which I
this is
think
what
if
the
you
kids
do
and
that,
creatures were
you're
saying.
fine. I think if
Because
because
see, I think that's where I had a problem with a lot of the dialogue and a lot of the writing and the way they chose to write it. Is they chose to write it kind of almost like a picture book. Like it was not quite a comic book. It was closer to what a picture book would be.
Right.
Because they explained like how they felt, everything they explained all the textures that they were supposed to do and all this stuff that you would do normally in a comic with a picture. Instead of the kids being, kids looking afraid, they would just talk about him being afraid and then go on and on and on, and there would just be this.
Yeah, it was overwritten. There was
Yeah.
too much text.
Well,
was
it was
way too-
written where it could have been the story without
Right.
without the comic parts,
Right.
whereas
Right.
a true comic, the stories tell half.
yeah, because he
half
mentioned it. He
The
mentioned
pictures
it
tell half the story.
in the introduction about that. It was he had written the script and everything, and then
I just definitely, I feel like at first it was kind of like, okay, I needed that, and I understood like trying to get to know the characters or get to know the situation, but there was points where it just went into so much detail that it almost took away from the story to where it almost took you out of the comic book period.
Mhm.
And so I was like, after a while, I was like, with Terry, I was like, I just can't read these anymore, but I kept trying to read it because I wanted to read the whole thing so I could be like, okay, well maybe I'm not giving this a chance, but man, by issue 3, I was just like, I don't care. I don't care how they felt. I don't care about their issues. I'm like, just get on with the adventure. Let's go.
The editor didn't do their job there either. They should have read it and looked over it.
Yeah.
This is too much, and we need to pare
Yeah,
this
we
down.
need to pare it down. Because I felt like there was definitely a lot of times, and not even just in different books, like in the same book, they would just beat the same issue over and over again. Because it was almost like they had a script with, okay, we're going to deal with growing old, betraying your friend, and a magic thing. And then they just beat those into the ground. Like everything. See, Jenny's agreeing with me. Look, she's like jumping up. She's like, yes! Yes! She knows. She knows. So, but they just, like, they focused on that because they talked about him betraying her almost through all 5 issues, and I felt like they could have dealt with that in maybe 1 issue and moved on or something to where it wasn't like so prominent. And same with like the him with the friend
Paul.
Yeah, Paul. I want to call him Peter. That's right. So Paul, they just kept beating that over and over and over again.
So
and it just
here's
could've-
something I didn't understand. They're what, like 13,
Roughly, yeah.
and he's known this Paul kid for years.
A couple of years. I don't think for years.
When did he have time to become such good friends with Alana?
She grew up.
I was
with
like,
Alana.
she's 13,
They were from
but
at
it's
birth. They were.
but it's
friends.
still
Well, it makes
the time doesn't.
Well, time
seem
doesn't
like
matter.
time doesn't matter.
Yeah, time doesn't matter. Yes.
But no,
Did
it
you
does
read the
mention
book?
that. It does mention that it's like it seems like years, but it's only been like 6 months that he's known the guy.
Right,
But
like
it
maybe
seems
a-
like
yeah.
it's been a year
Right.
since he's
Yeah.
yeah.
But it
You
just
hadn't really known him that long.
No, it's like 6 months, something like that. But it's felt like
It
years.
was like a summer. It seemed like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
all right. So we've thoroughly beaten that one to death. How about the art? What did everybody feel about the art?
It was Plug, and Plug is just amazing. It was beautiful. It was a different style than his old style. It felt like a charcoal style.
Right.
There were a few times when I had trouble figuring out what was good because it was just so busy.
That's
But for the most part, I liked it.
I have to say that I think the busy panels were probably my favorite because I felt like they had the most detail. Like
Right.
when he did the big ones with the fish and the kids, and that was a very much again though I feel like it went into more of a storybook kind of art and less of a comic book storytelling kind of art. It was like, oh, here's a static picture, and that's all there was to it. I feel like when comic books, especially this type of medium, you want to be a little bit more.
I was happy to see that it was more of a painted style than his line work he's done, like Werewolf by Night and all the stuff that he's done for Marvel in the 70s. I was glad to see it's a different
It
style.
seemed like it was a soft pastel, but yet at the same
Yeah.
time there was very bright panels too.
Mhm.
It was interesting.
I wish they would have done a little bit more of the I don't know, some of the detail, because I feel like sometimes they got especially the kids, like they looked very elongated and awkward, and it's almost like he was trying to go cartoony, but he didn't quite go full cartoony, and he was still trying to be realistic, and there was a couple panels where I felt like it didn't feel right. And so for me, it wasn't like it was not the greatest, but like I feel like his big splash panels, like with the fish and with the Sovereign, several panels with her, and when they turned Paul into the caterpillar, like that stuff was just so detailed and so like very much something you could pin up on your wall. I think it's really neat.
I agree. That's how I felt. Sometimes it was too confusing. There was too much going on, but I did enjoy it. But I got kind of like what you were saying.
It's just like it was like it was either one way or the other. Too much detail, or there was not enough detail, and like kind of fell flat in some places. But overall, it was not. I didn't care for it as much, except for those few panels that were really amazing. But sadly, the rest of the book was kind of like meh. Down.
It isn't on Plug, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I don't know if I can.
I didn't diss on him. I liked his. I mean, I liked it when he like actually had to do like static. Like I said, like there's a cover. I think it was chapter 5, the endless ending, where it's the Sovereign, and she's kind of like got these big giant wings, and she's got like all this like this grass and these eyeballs and this moss, and I'm like, that's like fantastic. But then there's pictures where like I feel like they'll show the boy, and it's just like his face looks awkward, and like
yes,
it doesn't.
and there's one with the Sovereign, like her face like that, and it's like it almost they were drawing it, and they're like, yeah, that's close enough to what she looked like in other pictures. I'm like, no, it's not.
I noticed in reading it there's a little bit, and I've never noticed it in his other stuff, so I'll have to go back and look, but there's a little bit of an Eisner style to this, a little bit.
see
A real
that,
Eisner.
yeah.
So, and I was like, well, it's kind of cool. I'll have to go back and check his other stuff and see if it's like
I'm
that.
curious to see how far between each comic there was. I wonder if it was done consecutively, like if it was done in 5 different months, like one came out each month, or if like it was like a long period of time, because it really definitely feels like the first book is a lot less aggressive with its art as the last book. The last book has a lot more detail in it and a lot more stuff in it that I felt like was a little bit more care was given to it.
Mhm.
But the first book was definitely a little bit more. That was the one where I felt kind of like things were flat on most parts.
It's also kind of like what I was saying about the story being sort of like Wizard of Oz. I mean, it's just kind of this black and white kind of, and then it gets bright and more stuff and crazy stuff. And so the art kind of demonstrates that as well.
All right. So what about things that we liked?
Well, I like the Plug art, so
Okay,
definitely.
I like the art and the story. I thought was, I mean, besides the little nuances we've had, I thought the story was pretty straightforward
I like
and
the
a fun story.
Beginning of the story, and then it kind of lost me a little bit towards the end, and just kind of went just too far.
And then it kind of ran back around a little bit.
So what about things we liked?
Well, like I said, I like the beginning of the story. I liked how it started out, and just didn't feel like it
Wrangle men.
carried through though.
James?
I liked all the parts except the parts that I didn't like.
So specific. I like
Wow.
it. I like it.
No, I
I
liked.
forgot.
I mostly liked it.
Yeah.
I like the art, the coloring.
I like the story.
I like the characters. I like the little girl, not his friend. I liked her.
And the brother.
Yeah,
The brother, that was funny.
the brother was funny,
Yeah.
and the little sister, she's just kind of tagged
Just
along.
She's sitting around.
I
I did not like Paul. Sorry.
You didn't like Paul?
Didn't like Paul.
Okay.
I liked
Wait a
Paul. I
minute, wait a
didn't
minute.
like the main character.
The main character was just
I didn't like that he.
Turned his back on his friend.
Yeah.
All right. Hang on. That'll be our next question.
Okay.
Hold on to that tight. Hold on to those dislikes really, really tight.
Or what did you like? I'm sorry, because we interrupted you.
I did enjoy the story and what they were going, or the primary goal of the story. Coming of age, and then kind of losing your way, refining your way, the things that, the writer, how he was writing the story for his son. I liked that you could tell where he was coming from and what he wanted to instill and hope for them to retain as they came of age. So I did enjoy that theme.
I really liked a lot of the characters, and I wish they would have done some more with that. Like, I really liked the fish giants were really neat, and then when they had the food and they had the little creatures that spit food out.
That grossed me
That
out.
was
I know, but it was something that
I
like,
enjoyed
it
it.
was
I thought it was
totally
funny.
something I could see on like the Dark Crystal or something. I would
that's
totally
exactly
see
what I was
in
thought
like
when
a
I-
Jim Henson movie.
Yes.
Like
Well,
it's-
we're gonna eat. Well, but these things
Yeah,
are
the
talking
live
to us.
guy.
How am I supposed to eat them?
He's
Well,
like,
you're
don't
not
worry,
gonna
let's
eat them.
spit the food out. But like stuff like that, and like even the Sovereign and her little animal creature that ended up being Paul. Like I really liked that. Was kind of neat. Those kind of weird characters. What was the big giant clump of sticks and the like?
Nice
Knife.
branch.
Yes.
Switch
yes.
knife or
Switch. Yeah.
Knife,
something.
Knife branch.
So I mean, like he was even kind of neat and weird and awkward. And again, I could see him in like
the
a
lady of the
Henson.
corn.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting.
She's
See,
kind of like the
it's-
lady in the lake, kind of.
But I feel like there was
Alright.
panels with her, like there was panels where she looked really kind of neat and interesting, and then there's panels again where she was just like,
She looked really corny sometimes.
oh, God, Jesus,
You
I am
walked
never
into
gonna
that.
elevate the show. Well, there goes our one viewer.
Just so close
We're
to
now
the
down to
mark.
0 viewers.
You popped right into that.
We were trying to double our viewership, and we are not going to meet that goal this week.
You lost one.
We lost the last one.
Is there some kernel of truth there?
So how about things we didn't like these puns?
They're kind of funny.
I kind of didn't like. And I think we all can kind of agree that the whole thing about the time, the narration of it, I did not like that. Because yeah, you're right. After about the third issue, you're like, okay, I know you don't understand about time. Okay, I'm just skip all the narration. I did think it was kind of funny. The book was talking to you. It has that little thing. But you never had a book talk to you. I'm like, well,
See, but I feel like that would have worked. I don't know. I just don't think it was the right medium for that
Probably
kind
not.
of humor. I think
Yeah.
it would have translated better for something that was a little bit different medium. But for what it was, I don't think it worked well.
If it would have been an audiobook, and I didn't
Yeah.
have to read all that.
I think it would. Yeah, you're right. An audiobook would have been really
Yeah.
great. Like they could have done some really great voices.
Voices,
yeah.
Mhm.
I could see this as an animated show.
Yeah,
Definitely. I know it's
with
probably
just some
another
Jim
question.
Henson, like even like
Well, like we
the
talked
Dark
about,
Crystal.
Dark
yeah.
Crystal, yeah.
I actually, unlike you guys, I really didn't like this one at all. Like I tried to get into it several times. The
I
writing
could
was
tell
just.
from the message you sent. Yeah, thanks.
But I mean,
we'll
like
go
it was
that
just
next time.
the way it was written was very clunky and awkward and hard to get through, and that didn't flow well for me. Again, the art didn't really tell the story as much as I wanted it to. The characters that I really wanted to know about, like they didn't go into at all. The stuff that like I feel like they kept on the same premises over and over again. Like there was like 3 books of them literally getting to the world,
Yeah.
and it was just like
it was
it
like
just
the
took
Hobbit,
so
you're just
long.
walking and walking.
Yeah.
And
Well,
walking.
then and it's like a one page or one book revelation that spoilers that the guy is the Stardust Kid.
Yeah, and
I'm
then, I mean,
what?
I know, and then they
Well,
just
I
went
kinda-
right
I
to the
kinda
war,
knew that,
and it
actually.
was just like I feel like they could have built it up more.
Well, and
So
they
just-
broke a couple of the tropes, like when the fish giant took the brother and sister. They're gonna be safe,
Yeah.
and oh, by the way, they weren't safe.
Yeah.
And
But
it's
then
like
it's-
you just don't do that in a book.
But
I
see, but
mean,
even
if
that they
you-
could have devoted a whole issue to.
No,
She is on the fire today, man.
Arguing with you.
They
She's
could have done a
agreeing
whole
with me.
issue. They could have done a whole issue about the kids under the sea,
Yeah,
and they didn't do anything with them.
They could
You
have
know, they
sang
brought-
a song.
They brought exactly. There
Saw-
could have
saw
been
a
holding
red-headed
hands
mermaid
and
with
bubbles.
See.
But they didn't do
There could've
anything
been a
with them. They
crowd.
brought them on this whole adventure, and they like shoved them out of their world into this new world, and they did nothing with them. They just kept beating it. This like, oh well, you're not my friend, but now you're my friend. So now I don't know if I'm gonna forgive you now. I'm just gonna. And
I
it's
think
like
what they
oh,
should have
God.
done is instead of that being 5 issues, they could have really done it maybe 6 or 8 and expanded it and explained more.
I don't know.
Or
if
done
that
it in
would've-
4 and explained less.
Yes,
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that would have probably
exactly.
been better. I mean, like
It
I
was
think
exactly
they could have
the
cut a
wrong
whole issue.
size.
if they would have cut a whole issue of them getting to the world, because they did that, they could have done that in the first issue, like all that stuff, built it up, and then get them to the world in that first issue, and then the next 4 issues could have been actual adventure with them and meeting all these things.
True.
And they could have done a whole book. That would have freed up a whole book for the kids' adventures, the young kids. And I wish they would have had a bigger part in it because, like I said, they bring them along and they
Yeah.
do nothing with them.
Yeah.
And so it's just a waste of a character, sadly. So I had a harder time with the book, but I'm glad you guys enjoyed it.
I enjoyed the first half.
Yeah, it was definitely hard to stay kind of everybody we lost, interest in, but even though, I felt like that, I still was able to find pieces that I appreciated.
This is probably though Dow's best pick. So his next pick was it's got to be out of the park then, right?
This is true. Good point.
He's been building up.
Well, and then they kept talking about
Yeah.
that the rest of the world had been changed, and that the adults and the
Became like
houses
tree
and
people.
everything, but they never, this tree person is your mom. It was just generic tree people. You were like, well, is it really changed, or are they just being told this? They didn't
Well,
just
I
go
don't
into that
think
at all.
I was kind of thinking that nobody actually ever changed. It was just his perception of things and how he needed to start looking at things differently as he's getting older.
So you could look at old age
He
as
was
a
a kid
as
and
a
he had
sovereign.
all this stuff was imagination
That's a
in his
metaphor.
head, and
It's a metaphor, symbolism.
but then he's finally growing up, and he can't
And
look at them
releasing your
and
inner Stardust Kid.
this
So
way.
we've kind of touched that, things that would make it better or worse to help with the story. We've kind of talked about that. But is there some kind of favorite characters or favorite moments that everybody had? Like, if you could think of one. Mine, again, like I would just say it again, like those fish creatures were just awesome.
Mhm.
Like I love the colors of them. I like the concept of them. I like the sea, like all the stuff that they did under there. And it's kind of reminded me of like if you ever watched Labyrinth, Bluto, where he's like Bluto's sad. And then those things kind of remind me, it's like, we lost the kids. I'm so upset. And I just,
Well, and
I
they
like them.
and they kept going back to the well of people that you thought were good were bad, and people that you thought were bad were good. Fire changed side.
Yeah.
Well, I had to act like that. and then the
All the trees are bad, and then except for this one tree that was helping
and then
them,
the
yeah.
tree that was going to help them,
Dies.
and the spider thing ended up being Paul.
Mhm.
A lot. They kept going back to that. Well,
Yeah. Did you
I
have a
really
favorite
definitely
moment
think
or
it was
character?
written for a younger audience there too. I think, in a way. But,
I don't know. I think this would be really wordy for younger.
I think the idea was written for a younger
Yes.
audience,
Yeah.
but
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't executed well.
I kind of liked when the Sovereign kind of won. And that kind of menacing. She's sitting there and just, everything's coming up, Sovereign.
Yeah.
Dal, did you have a favorite character or moment?
no, not really. I don't have a favorite character. I mean, I liked it. I don't know. I thought Sovereign. Like you're talking about the everything's coming up Sovereign.
I thought it was kind of
pretty good.
hard to pick a favorite character. I thought all the
Yeah.
characters were just okay.
William Shakespeare is my favorite character.
I mean, I guess I like the little girl the most, but I mean, there was
Which little girl? There's like
Yeah.
3 of them.
the
KMKT?
friend, the friend,
KT.
yeah,
KMKT.
KMKT, yeah, no. The friend, her,
Alana.
yeah.
Alana. Alana.
I would say I really, probably if I had to choose one, was how in the end Paul did return and how the Sovereign, she couldn't get rid of it. So I enjoyed that little
Because
piece.
this is her other half.
Yes, I enjoyed that piece.
And I kind of like Teresa.
She was kind of. She reminded me a lot of Lena. Our
Yes.
Yeah.
The Sovereign
One of our
sidekick was
family
kind of
members.
fun. He's all crotchety and stuff.
Knife blade.
Knife,
Yeah. He's like the version of me. So could this
Pretty
translate? Do you think this could translate to more things? I think we talked about audiobook would probably be really, really good. I feel like a Jim Henson TV series would be
Mhm.
like. I mean,
Yeah.
if they could do it like they did Dark Crystal or The Labyrinth, I mean,
Mhm.
this could be amazing. Because you could be like another Labyrinth.
Yeah, Frank.
Shouldn't go down that way. Could have went right to the castle. She is on point today, man. She's on fire.
She's just not on the couch.
She's not having it.
Did you think? Did you think it translates to something?
If they purposefully, I could see fine-tuning it to make it for a younger reader, I could see it translating well that way.
I think you could do if like you said they could do a bunch of scholastic books, and slowing it down and kind of fine tuning it for younger. You could see it in book fairs everywhere.
So let's do we can rate it and then any final opinions that you'd like to give. So Monica, you want to go first? What would you rate it out of 5?
Out of 5, probably like a 3.
No, that's wrong. It has to be a color, not a
A color? What?
Only if you're Dal. Dal's the only one that's.
I did that one time. I made that one mistake, sir.
Well, you know what? If it wasn't
you
like
not
after
seen
I
that
just
episode?
said,
No.
I literally just
he
said.
did.
So how many unicorn horns out of 5 is this one? And Dal's like, I think it's kind of like a red.
No, he goes A. I think give her like a B plus. I'm like,
That's not
that's
our
not
system.
an option. So then we.
That's
Yeah.
become a red.
Yeah.
joke.
So, of that, I would give it a 3. Make it mid of the way.
Yeah, I'd say 3.
3.5.
3 for the story, 4 for the art.
Ah, interesting.
That's fair. I'd probably give it closer to a 2. I just wasn't.
Yeah, you said
I had a hard time. I know. I had a hard time. And plus, it's Dal's pick, so I automatically have to it's
Automatically
gets a
loses a-
star down. You know,
Thanks.
we'll
You,
never reach a 5.
You held a pillow down over your inner child's face. didn't you?
Yes.
Man.
Until it stopped kicking. So, any final opinions? I think we pretty
Good-
much beat the dead
good
horse.
job.
I think, we...
I like
Yeah.
Valiant effort.
Out of all the Dallas pigs, it's probably been the best one. I have to say
Yes.
that. So
I'm
I'm
still
gonna,
rated it a 2.
Yeah, thanks.
It's better than the Transmetropolitan, man.
Well, that was bad.
That was
Was
bad.
it better than Battling Boy?
Man, you know what, Battling Boy?
I like this better than Battling Boy.
Oh yeah,
I think
way
I like
better
the
than Battling
concept
Boy.
of Battling Boy better, but the
Yeah.
execution was not well.
So your pick next week. Or next month,
So
sorry,
we're
next
gonna
month.
do. It is by Michael Fife.
Faye.
Copra. Round 1. So it is
Round one.
Copra. Copra. So I think it's not pronounced Cobra, but it's Copra. Michael Fife.
I think they're getting ready to do a sequel to that, aren't they?
The Image just started out a new book.
That comes out
And-
next week.
They're starting
Okay.
it over. So he does the art and he does the writing, and he did an art. What did he? He did something fairly recently, I feel like, but I can't think of what it was on my hand. I know he did the Bloodstrike miniseries. He did a book in there. He did some Savage Dragon stuff. So I think he did some Ultimates stuff. I think he wrote some of the Ultimates things. So it's something that's been on my list for a while. So we'll see how it goes, because I haven't read it before. I have no idea. I know like the brief synopsis, and that's about it. Bunch of assassins and superhero thingies. So I'm in.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
All right. So that'll be our book for what will be October. So October, at the end of the month, we'll post our next video. If you agree with our opinions or don't agree with our opinions, if you can,
That
like, share, and
Alan's wrong.
subscribe, and then comment. We would love to hear you. Also, make sure you ring your bell notifications. I'm being flagged down. Yes, Kelly. Bell notifications so that you can be notified of videos that we post. Also, please stay for our Angel and Unicorn comic book reviews. I post every week. Dal and Terry also have a show,
Comic Book Straight Talk.
which they post monthly.
Yeah, it's about
Yeah.
every 2 weeks. Twice a month.
Sometimes.
We do 2 episodes a month at least, sometimes 3.
So anyways,
What, sir?
until then, we hope your pull list is full. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye.